So, former wide receiver in the NFL went ahead and ripped into the Cincinnati Bengals. And this is just a continuation of all the trash talk slash anti-Bengals talk this offseason.
That's another reason why Jesse Bates III is now in Atlanta, Georgia. That's another reason why Joe Mixon is down in Houston for the Houston Texans. Two players that actually could have helped the defense for the Cincinnati Bengals, and one player that could have actually helped the offense and gave Joe Burrow something else to resort to. So when I look at the Cincinnati Bengals, that's why I'm on Freddie and Harry. Freddie called them a Cheap-innati Bengals because they don't want to pay people. But it's hindering and it's hurting, in my opinion, Joe Burrow and this team collectively from going to where they want to go. Maximizing Joe Burrow while he's on this contract right now, and you know he's playing upper echelon football from the quarterback position.
Speaking of that, Cheap-innati, Stephen A., I just wanted to come to you on this. Do you think if they don't take care of this situation, that Joe Burrow should ask for a trade so they don't waste?
That's where I was going. I think that he should, and I think that he will. I think that the Joe Burrow that we met during Super Bowl week, the Joe Burrow that we've seen talking in front of the microphone, he's made it a point to be very conspicuous in his positions. Yep. He's letting them know he's not happy and he ain't about to stand pat. And he's not about to be a quarterback for a franchise that ain't trying to win. And he's hoping that history doesn't repeat itself. But as the saying goes, you can't keep teaching old dog new tricks. And Mike Brown is Mike Brown. And considering the money that the NFL practically prints for crying out loud, you would think this man would prioritize winning.
Stephen A. Smith came out yesterday and said that Joe Burrow is going to request a trade. He's going to request to be traded away. And now we have called them the Cheap-innati Bengals because they don't want to pay people. Douglas and Stephen A. Smith on Joe Burrow's future with the Bengals. Obviously, he said he's going to want to be traded. So let's tackle this. Let's break this down. Let's talk about this. Because, yes, at the end of the day, this is something that has been a stipulation for a very long time. The front office finds ways to avoid paying players. I will give them credit with the Jesse Bates situation. In the end, when he went to the Falcons, $37 million for the first year was a little ridiculous. Right, second year he actually got a lot less. That's how his contract was orchestrated. But no, yeah, they didn't pay DJ Reader. They cheaped out on that. They cheaped out on Jesse Bates. The Joe Mixon situation, they didn't cheap out on. I think they just didn't want him anymore. And they also wanted to try to get out of the whole we don't want to spend that much money on an offensive line. So they wanted to go out there and get a run blocking halfback, and Joe Mixon was not that guy. And that was really the huge thing, was they could try to make it work with Frank Pollock for another year, try to make it work with the line they had, even though it's crap, because they can get away with it by, again, getting run blocking halfback. So here's what I'll say, right? I know the narrative is they're cheap. And I'm not going to sit here and say they're not cheap. But I think it's also they're stubborn. And that's another factor that I think we have to take in consideration. Because it's very easy to just say that team, the front office is cheap. The Bengals are cheap. They don't want to pay anyone. I think they're very stubborn. And it goes with not only signing people, but also trading. They don't want to trade and lose. The front office never wants to look like they're losers. They never want to look like they got scammed or they got finessed or they didn't come away from a situation where they're winning tenfold. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here and saying Mike Brown isn't cheap. He is cheap. And he will go ahead and, not want to spend pretty much any money. But I think it's more than just being cheap. A lot of people just say, the reason why is because they're cheap, period, end of story. That's only part of the story. The other part of the story is they're stubborn as hell. They always want to think that they're winning no matter what, and they can't accept the idea that both sides evenly win. Both sides walk away from a situation and they're equal. That's just how it is. They don't want to walk away like that. Every trade they make, they want to walk away like it's a BJ Hill trade for Billy Price. That's how they want to operate. Which, that's why we don't get trades done. That's why we don't get deals done. That's why we're not, working out different things with different teams and trying to trade up and down draft boards. Because that's just how they operate. And if you want to fix that, I've said it a million times, I'll say it again. You have to cut the head off the snake and you got to go straight down from there. You can't get rid of one coach, get rid of one personnel. You can't get rid of this or this. You have to clean house and you have to eradicate the whole entire front office. Like, that's just how, if you want to fix it, you really have to go all in. There's no baby steps when it comes to fixing this type of mentality. But that's not going to happen, right? And we have to live in the land of realistic possibilities and realistic scenarios. I could sit here and tell you for the next 6,000 years that we're going to get rid of everyone in the front office. Mike Brown's going to sell the team, give it to someone who actually wants to win, and everything's going to work out in the end. And that's just simply not the truth. Okay, that's not the truth. The truth is, through pressure by fans, pressure by Joe Burrow, pressure by the players, the Bengals are going to be forced to make baby steps. And I know it sounds like ridiculous. This is an organization. This is a multi-million-dollar team. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. You can't rip the Band-Aid full off on them. They're not going cold turkey. You have to slowly push them in the right direction. And I think this offseason so far, it has been a really good situation so far. I don't think Joe Burrow is going to request to be traded. I understand some people think that. I understand Stephen A. Smith thinks that. I understand that Mr. Douglas thinks that as well. I don't think it's going to happen. Because at the end of the day, I don't see a situation. Where is he going to go that's better than Cincinnati right now? Where is he going to go where he has two number one receivers and a fan base? Oh, okay, no. No matter where he goes, a fan base would absolutely love the guy, right? But, where else is he going to go? That's the question. He will be great no matter where he went. Let's be honest. If we're being honest here, Joe's going to be great no matter where he goes. But he's not going to have Chase. And I'm not saying that he needs Chase. Obviously, he doesn't need Chase. He can still be great without Jamar Chase. But he loves playing with Chase. He's great friends with Chase. He's best friends with Chase. He wants to play with T. Higgins. He's going to play with T. Higgins after we get this contract on this offseason because we will. Like, at the end of the day, no team is going to give us 2 first-round picks for T. Higgins. It just won't happen. And if that doesn't happen, at the end of the day, he'll get franchise tagged no matter what. And he'll be on a 1-year, $26 million deal. And it doesn't matter if he wants to play on it or not. Because some people would say, well, if he sits out. If you sit out on a franchise tag, you're going to be fined. So he'll play on that franchise tag. Now, I believe we'll get a contract done before then. I believe we'll get a deal done before then. But at the end of the day, that's a fact. Trey Hendrickson is 1 more year on his contract. He's going to come back. Well, I'd love to have Mike Gesicki back. I really would. I don't think that it's that important of a situation to bring him back as much as other people say it is. I'd rather have make sure we get BJ Hill back and Mike Hilton. Now Eric All being out all next season definitely sucks, and it definitely pushes that forward, right? That we need to get him back. But I don't think it's as important as people make it out to be with the situation of, what's his name? Mike Gesicki. I want him back, but I don't think it's a make or break decision. That's what I'll say. Maybe I'm in the minority there. Maybe I'm completely crazy there. But I don't think it's a make or break decision to not have him back or not. I think it's a great decision to have him back. I think it's amazing to have him back, and I want him back. But this is not if we lose him, everything falls apart type of mentality. And that's because we don't utilize tight ends that much. We utilize them up to a point that most of Zach Taylor's offense is 2 tight end formations. Both tight ends are blockers, or one of them goes out for a pass. That's most of our offense. Mike Gesicki's not a blocking tight end. He's more of a slot receiver. He's like a big slot receiver pretty much. He had a great season, 600 yards. But I think if, we had a true receiver, let's say wide receiver 3, because we did. Yoshi had not the greatest season, but if Yoshi has a great season next year, T has a great season next year, Jamar Chase has a great season, T stays healthy, if we get back Mike Gesicki, I think he'll have less than 600 yards. I think he'll probably have like 450, 500, which is still a great season. But my point is, we prioritize things, right? We go down this list here and prioritize certain players. I want Mike Gesicki back. I don't want, and the press conference going to be like, how do you not want Mike Gesicki back? I want Mike Gesicki back. But at the same time, we have to look at things realistic. And at the end of the day, the priorities right now are Chase, T, Trey Hendrickson. Those 3 are the top priorities. BJ Hill, Mike Hilton are the next couple. Mike Gesicki is right after, I would say he's right after BJ Hill. He's right after Mike Hilton. We need the run support Mike Hilton gives us. So, tell me down below your thoughts, Peter. See you guys next one.